I'm pleased to bring in our panel Rick Gates, former Trump campaign aide, author of the book Wicked Game, Fred Fleitz, former NSC chief of staff for the Trump administration, former CIA analyst, and the vice chair of America First Policy Institute, and pleased to have the former Israeli government spokesman, Eylon Levy, with us today. All right, latest report, Vance has arrived at the White House, expected to attend policy meetings. So a little bit of a delay, Fred. Do you read anything into that, especially with Pakistan saying, hey, maybe we should delay the ceasefire because when and if they get there, certainly it will be less time to negotiate at that table?
It looks to me like Iran is going to agree to negotiations, even though they've been saying for days that they weren't going to. There are security preparations in Islamabad. There's been a number of reports that they're going to send a delegation, even though they kept claiming they had all these conditions and they wouldn't send it. We're seeing a lot of divisions and problems within the Iranian government. It also came out overnight that when the Vance delegation was there last time, they couldn't agree on the Iranian government couldn't make agreements with him. They had to go back to Iran for these discussions. Also, there reportedly were big disagreements within the Iranian delegation that the Pakistanis try to mediate. So there's a lot of problems here. This is not an intact government. This is a shattered government. It's an Islamist government that's extremely difficult to negotiate with.
Yeah. And obviously a result of the military action that we have seen play out, direct evidence there. President Trump is speaking to CNBC and says that basically if the ceasefire expires, they're ready to take action. Here he is.
Well, as I said 2 days ago when they said they won't send them, I said they'll be sending them. They have no choice but to send them. What I think is that we're going to end up with a great deal. I think they have no choice. We've taken out their Navy. We've taken out their Air Force. We've taken out their leaders, frankly, which does complicate things in one way, but these leaders are much more rational. It is regime change, no matter what you want to call it. And I think we're in a very strong negotiating position to do what other presidents should have done during a 47-year period.
Now, 47 years, Rick. The ability for Iran to stall, to build up nuclear material. And here it all comes to another round of talks. J.D. Vance will be leading that. Are you looking at where we stand and think that President Trump, with his comments also, I expect to be bombing because that's a better attitude to go in, is a good strategy for, as Fred said, the fractured Iranian powers that be?
Yeah, I do. I mean, the one thing that you can say about President Trump is he is very clear in his words and he doesn't mince words. So I think the Iranians should listen very carefully to what he's saying. And I think the president can lose patience, as we know, like any of us could in a situation like this. I think Fred's absolutely on point. The government's so shattered, they don't even know how to communicate within their own regime. And I think that is a big issue. And as you heard the president say, that can complicate things. But at the same time, I think they're very acutely aware of the full force and weight of the U.S. military right at its doorstep. And all it's going to take is, one signal from the president, and that will happen. So I think as we watch, look, everything's fluid, everything's going to change. But I think at the end of the day, they will come to the table. I think Iran is scared not to, even if they lead to an extension of the ceasefire. We'll see. But I think the president needs to make those types of statements. I need to think he needs to project that strength so he keeps the Iranians at bay.
Yeah. And obviously, Elon, Benjamin Netanyahu watching this closely. Also, there's talks continuing with Israel and Lebanon later this week. What do you think the message is coming from Israel today as they look at this and sort of understand that a deal made in Pakistan directly impacts potentially Hezbollah and its ability to not continue attacking innocent Israelis?
Israel is watching this absence of negotiations carefully and ready for the moment that President Trump decides he's reactivating the military option, because then Israeli fighter jets will be fighting wing to wing with the American fighter jets again. This will be a coalition in action again, fighting as a force multiplier to help the United States achieve its goals and stop the Iranian regime from getting a nuclear weapon. Unfortunately, it's clear that the Iranians are stalling. They're buying time. They're hoping that a combination of domestic pressure and markets and the very slick PSYOPs campaign they're waging against the American public will work, and President Trump will back down and he will accept a deal that leaves the Iranians' path clear to a nuclear weapon. And President Trump has to be absolutely clear. That is not going to happen. America has all the cards now. It has checkmated the Iranian regime. He has to tell the Iranian leaders, look, we've spared you because you're negotiating, but if you don't make a deal that is acceptable to us, we're coming after you too. The message has got to be, blink, or you die.
Yeah, and it does seem that President Trump is still, even to these last hours, Fred, giving diplomacy a chance. He put out a post today saying, free these women. It will be a great sign, a good faith sign. There's women being detained. He said, don't harm them. But while we look at diplomacy, and obviously it hangs in the balance, maybe a bit clearer is China's role, Fred. I want to get your perspective. There's these chemicals for missiles that were on this ship that was flagged, frequented China. So President Trump says, I thought I had an understanding with Xi. That there was some sort of gift, he says, when he was talking to CNBC. What do you think China's thinking here, if they are still aiding Iran, knowing that President Trump has a visit with Xi in the coming weeks?
Let me first say how glad I am that the president tweeted about these 9 women who are going to be executed. I'm Catholic. Why isn't the Pope speaking out about this? Why aren't West European leaders speaking out about this? This is outrageous that these women are going to be killed for protesting for freedom. And I'm proud of the president for speaking out against it. I'm very concerned that the ships that were being brought from China to Iran were bringing chemicals to make fuel for Iran's rockets and ballistic missiles. There's rumors about that. If that happens, frankly, that's an act of war. This is China engaging, helping an enemy attack the United States. If Trump sees that that's going on, he may cancel the summit with Xi. If not, he's going to give Xi a stern talking to when he goes to China.
Mm-hmm. Talking from the Iranian side, we've gone over how fractured they are and some of the complications during the first round of talks, maybe not as chaotic, so maybe we hope they're more productive. But there was a statement, Rick, from a parliament member in Iran saying they've got some new cards to play on the battlefield. So obviously they're trying to have some bluster for their internal audience. I'm not sure what cards they could be playing when they have no Navy in their Air Force, but here it is. Galibaf, of course, who was at the table last time.
Yeah, it seems like the Iranians are, full of bluster. It kind of reminds you of the days of Saddam Hussein in Iraq, and, it's going to be the mother of all battles. And I think, at the end of the day, they're going to continue these threats because they have to look strong within their own country. You talk about the PSYOPs campaign going on with their own people. So I think when you look at all this, the U.S. just has to continue to make sure that we put that pressure on. And it seems like they're doing a very good job. I think what they did in terms of, bordering the Chinese ship and also the tankers, the oil tankers, I think is a good move, and it shows that President Trump is determined to act. These are not just words, unlike what the Iranians are doing and just trying to throw, unsubstantiated threats that they can't even deliver on.
Great to have you all, Fred, Rick, Eylon, as we watch what is happening in the Strait of Hormuz, such critical hours ahead, and expert analysis from you all. It is much appreciated.